Success is not personal. It's not about you. It comes down to what structure you're in. It's not personal. Because if it was personal, then how come there are thousands or even millions of people out there having the same problem as you? If it were personal, it would only be you. But there are so many other people out there who have the same problem. And if all the books and personal development courses worked in creating success, then everybody would be successful by now, because there are so many books out there about personal development and manifestation and success, that if the book worked, if the books worked, the book works, if the books worked, then everyone would be successful. So it's not personal. A lot of people have the same problem. They want to manifest something and it's just not quite working. They want success and they are just not quite there yet. And this happens year after year. It goes on year after year. So we understand it's not personal, right? Success is not personal, not about you. Okay? It comes down to what structure you're in. It comes down to being in the correct structure. Your success is dependent on what structure you're in. The success of your manifestation depends on what structure you're in. And what do I mean by that? Most of the world lives their life in a problem-solving structure. This is all that we are trained and indoctrinated to do. And this is what the world does. Solving problems. Like, for example, the war on drugs, the war on cancer, and trying to make money because you're broke, or trying to be in a relationship because you have a problem, which is you feel lonely or bored, or you feel weird because everybody is in a relationship, or that's supposed to be the norm. And this is the problem-solving structure. And the problem with this is, like, why not instead? So instead of the war on cancer, why not just create health, i.e. create a new reality where the old one is simply obsolete, rather than trying to create this new reality called war on cancer. So the problem with this is that when you are solving a problem, the solution will only ever exist in correlation with the problem. In other words, when you are solving a problem, your focus, the power of your focus is still on the problem. So because you're focusing on the problem, you're creating more of the same. But yet, like I say, this is how we live our lives. For many of us, our whole life is about solving the problem of not being enough, not being good enough, not being liked, not belonging, and all the other things. And we build our lives trying to solve that problem. Well, a lot of us anyway. And so the problem with that is, when you are focusing on the problem, then you are reaffirming its existence. Why? Because your sustained focus determines what solidifies into the 3D reality from the quantum field. So this is not woo-woo, this is a scientific fact from the 1880 double slit experiment. If you don't believe me, look it up. This is a quantum mechanics experiment where they were shooting particles light through two slits, and and behind the slits there was a photosensitive paper. And on the photosensitive paper, when the light goes through two slits, right, on the photosensitive paper, you would expect two lines to form in the shape of the slits where the light went through. And when they were observing the experiment, this was exactly what happened. But when they weren't observing the experiment, then the light has left a beautiful interference pattern on the photo paper. So the question then was, okay, so did the light go through the paper, the solid material? Like, how is that possible? We've never seen that before. Because, like, you know, shade, like light doesn't go through a thing that is there to give shade, but yet that's exactly what happened. And the question is where do the particles go? How do they make an interference pattern other than just the two lines on the photo paper? How does that happen? Like where, like how, right? Where do the particles go? And so anyway, the explanation is that these particles exist in a state of flux, and they are behaving in a way that an observer expects them to behave when they are being observed by the observer. And they behave, so then they behave as a particle, or as they are expected to behave. But when they are not observed, then they exist in a state of flux, and sometimes they are in this reality and sometimes they are somewhere else. The question is where are they? When they are not here, where are they? And the answer is they are in the quantum field, for lack of a better expression, in the field of all possibilities, in a field where possibility has not solidified yet into this reality. So when I say your observation, what you choose to observe, i.e., the power of your sustained focus, decides what manifests or what solidifies into this construct of light, which is much more like a holographic projection rather than solid, is determined by your focus. So this is quantum physics, this is quantum mechanics. It's not woo-woo. So what I was saying is the mistake that our world makes, the mistake that most people make when they're trying to be successful, create success in their lives, or manifest things, is that we are living in a problem-solving structure. And as you now know, when you are trying to solve a problem, you're focusing on the problem. And when you're focusing on the problem, you're observing more of the same into your reality. And so this is backed by quantum science. Okay? So it's not, I'm not just talking out my ass here. Okay, so success comes down to being in the correct structure. So what is the correct structure? And that is, instead of being in a problem-solving structure, yes, I'm finally getting to it, is the creative structure. So instead of, like I said earlier, instead of trying to solve a problem, we better create something new that is not related to the problem, in the presence of which the problem and the solution to the problem will simply be obsolete. The old energy, the old vibration, the old holographic projection will simply be obsolete in the presence of this new thing that we create. So the solution is being in the creative structure. This is what I'm talking about. This is what success comes down to. This is what success in manifestation comes down to. Being in the correct structure, which is the creative structure. And I will record another video where I will talk to you about what is the creative structure and how it works. See you in another video. Thanks for watching. Bye.